Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's time to discuss a rare domestic midweek game. It feels like ages since we've had one of those to talk about. However, Celtic look to return to winning ways tomorrow night after quite a frustrating weekend. So, let's talk about that, shall we? If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It'd be much appreciated as we try and power towards 50,000 subscribers. So if you've not pressed those buttons already, go down below and do it. Go. It's free. Get it done. Right, we're back to talking about Celtic, and as I mentioned in the start of the video, a frustrating weekend at Easter Road. We walked away goalless, a 0-0 draw, which seen the lead at the top of the table go from 7 to 5 points. So 2 points dropped for Celtic, which means tomorrow night doesn't necessarily make it a must win, but let's be real, you don't want to be dropping any more points. And we want to continue what has been a really good start to the season. So, you know, let's get that little blip out the way. Let's go to Celtic Park, which feels like we're at very rarely nowadays, and get 3 points. It's not a big deal though. Let's just get one thing straight about the weekend. I've seen a lot of people throwing their toys out the pram, a lot of people getting really worked up. Listen, it's a bump on the road. These things happen. You need to drop points at some point. You're not going to win 38 out of 38. And it just so happened that Easter Road was a banana peel for us at the weekend. Very, very frustrating when you seen the result on Sunday at Ibrox, but we've bounced back better from trickier situations. And I have the utmost confidence and faith that that's not going to hold us back from what our main objective that is this season and winning the league title. So tomorrow night, we need to win. We've got a tough game at the weekend as well, which follows it up as we head up to Dingwall. So, you know, you want to get these things done. Another tough away game. So let's get the 3 points at Celtic Park and make this job as easy as possible. But before we do our typical match preview, it's time to talk about the news, injury updates. Mostly bad news because we got a further update on Rio HATATE yesterday, which if you've been on social media and listening to the news, you'll know what it is already, but it's time we discuss it on the channel. Rio HATATE then, we got the injury update. Obviously he limped off a few minutes into the Atletico game this time last week. He was crying as he went off the park. We heard that it was a hamstring issue. The initial update was he'd be out for a few weeks, and as I said in the video last week discussing that, it was going to be worse in a few weeks, wasn't it? Rio HATATE will be out till at least Christmas time. Brendan Rodgers has confirmed. And you know what? It's hard to take. It is, isn't it? A frustrating start to the season for Rio HATATE. And that goes on. He won't be back till after Christmas. We probably won't see him till 2024, which is absolutely devastating when you consider the quality of player that you're losing there. A hamstring injury is never good. And this one's just a bit of a blow to Celtic, to say the least, considering the quality he adds to the middle of the park, how well him, Matt O'Reilly and Cal McGregor were playing together in the middle of the park. To suddenly just lose that in the blink of an eye, it's very, very frustrating. And that's just another one of the reasons that this weekend has been frustrating for Celtic. You drop points at Easter Road, then you find out that one of your best players, and to many, maybe your best player, is out till after Christmas. The word to describe everything at the moment is frustrating. Rio HATATE will be gutted. He's just signed that new contract. He's coming into a league campaign where there's so much buzz around him and there was so much transfer speculation as well. He was ready to get on with things. He just started getting back to his best, and then bang, out with this long-term injury. So not a lot of luck on his side to start this campaign, and Celtic need to try and look for the positives in this, even though they're not really positive, are they? The positives, at least we're not thin in centre midfield. We have plenty of options. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend they're all at the level of Rio HATATE. Absolutely not. He is, you know, one of the best players in the country, and it's hard to replicate that. But it's a massive opportunity for some of the players we've got in there. We've left ourselves fortunate enough to have the options that we do in the middle of the park. And for domestic games, for this tough run of domestic games, should I add, at least we have the depth to cover Rio HATATE's absence. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to do the job for us in Europe. Let's not pretend here for a second. Let's just be real. Let's be truthful. Rio HATATE in Europe, hard to replace that quality when you're coming up against an Atletico, a Lazio, a Feyenoord. He's going to be a big, big miss. However, domestically, we have got enough players in there to hopefully get us through this run of games. So it's a massive chance for some of these players to step up, to take this opportunity. Paulo Bernardo, Odin Thiago Holm, David Turnbull, Tomoki Iwata, 4 names right there. Between the 4 of them, I'd imagine there'll be minutes shared out. And they need to take the opportunities when they come calling to them and prove that we have got, you know, the required quality to get us through here, and to maybe create a conversation when Reo Hatate does come back. You know, let's not make it easy for players to walk right back into this team. Let's make it a difficult conversation come January time. Take these opportunities when you're given them. This could be the catalyst for somebody to go in a vein of form that really kickstarts their Celtic career. Maybe not for somebody like David Turnbull, who's been here 3 years now, but you know what I'm saying. On that note, we got some positive news about Odin Thiago Holm. People were wondering where he was, questioning if he's been dropped from the side, if he's not good enough, yada yada. Turns out he's been injured. He's been nursing an injury for the last few weeks, and that's why he's been nowhere to be seen. Nobody's asked Brendan Rodgers, in fairness, so he's not had to comment on it. He's going to be available for selection again after nursing an injury, which is good. Happy about that. I mean, he was someone who I think in the early stages of the season showed a lot of promise. Especially when we were struggling as well. Just that Feyenoord game threw things into question. So now's a chance for him to come in, get some minutes, seek some redemption for the mistakes that he made in Rotterdam. Now he's back. That's another option. So that's good news. If you want more good news to make up for the really bad news about Reo Hatate, Alistair Johnson, we've also had an update on him. After he went off at the weekend, there was a fear of concussion for Alistair Johnson after the Hibs game at the weekend. Brendan Rodgers did comment on that after the game. He said this, I just spoke to the medical team. They said he's fine. It was just in the moment he felt he was a wee bit funny. I think overall he's fine. That's also been backed up by the fact he's also been spotted in training as well. So he's back. He's fine. Doesn't look as though he's going to be out for any length of time. However, maybe a chance there's rotation there. Maybe Ralston comes in just to make sure he's okay. After all, Dingwall away, Madrid away coming up in the next week. Wouldn't be shocked if we just take it easy on Johnson just so we're not rushing him back in. But it's good to know he's fine and it's nothing that's going to keep him out for any length of time. Thank God he's been spotted in training. So, you know, mostly negative when you hear the news about Hatate, but at least there is a couple of positives in there. Aside from that, just the same old stuff with the status of the players. So yeah, we've got a healthy enough side to go and fight domestically and get 3 points tomorrow night. Let's talk about the opposition. St Mirren. What a start to the season they have had. Quickly creating a conversation to say that they're the third best in the country, the best of the rest. I mean, they're closer to Rangers than Rangers are to Celtic. 3 points behind Rangers at this moment of time in the league table, sitting third, sitting pretty, having a really, really confident start. They've been building. They've only had that one loss so far this season. It came to Rangers a couple of weeks ago. They were down to 10 men. They did lose that game. But wow, what a start to the season they've had. They've been flowing really, really well in the park when you watch them. They've been able to score goals, they've been able to keep out goals. Yeah, maybe not to the same extent as a Celtic or Rangers, but as I said, best of the rest. There seems to be no question about it at the moment. Here's their recent run of form. I mean, at the weekend, a great 4-0 win against St Johnstone. Now, I know St Johnstone are struggling, but to put 4 away, I remember watching a couple of games last season, and St Mirren really struggled for goals. I felt like the one thing that they lacked was somebody to score goals, and that was holding them back from pushing on. This year, they're finding the goals, and they're finding the results more importantly. So, St Mirren fans will be happy, and they're coming to Celtic Park with a really credible threat tomorrow night. We can't take this lightly. They've started the season well, they deserve the respect for that, and I'm sure that they'll try and make the game as tricky as possible, because there's one man who will try and do that, and it's Stephen Bloody Robinson. I done a bit of digging before this video. This is the record of Stephen Robinson taking on Brendan Rodgers. They have met 8 times throughout their managerial careers. Brendan Rodgers is undefeated, 5 wins and 3 draws against Stephen Robinson. However, if you do remember those 3 draws, they're as frustrating as a game of football gets, because Stephen Robinson knows how to make a game frustrating. Throughout his spells at both Motherwell and St Mirren, Stephen Robinson has been really effective at, drying a game out when he needs to. And for as much as they've been playing well this season, I'll tell you right now, they'll come to Celtic Park tomorrow night. They'll have a lot of men behind the ball, and they will try and starve us of goals. That's what they've got to do. They're coming up against a much better side, a side who are favourites to win in us, Celtic. So they've got to change their game plan. They're not going to come out and try and go for it. Let's be real. They're not. They might go for it in a couple of areas of the game, might counter-attack, try and do things like that. But they're not going to be free-flowing, passing the ball, pinging it around the park. It will be typical Stephen Robinson stuff. They have been playing what seems to be a 3-4-3 throughout the course of this season. However, I'd imagine tomorrow night that will kind of turn into a 5 at the back rather than the 3. They'll have those 3 centre-halves, but I'd imagine the wing-backs will play a lot deeper. And that will make it hard. You know, that will congest the park for us. And when we try and get through the channels and even go out wide, there's always going to be a man there. So Celtic need to pick their chances and they need to take them when they're given. So I'm not looking forward to it in that regard. I know that Stephen Robinson can really make a game hard to watch. But that being said, this is a game where Celtic should be getting the 3 points. No matter who the opposition is. You've got to be winning your games at Parkhead. And look, you watched this against Atletico Madrid last week. Completely different box of frogs, of course, right? I'm not comparing Diego Simeone's Atletico to Stephen Robinson's St Mirren. But the way we played last week was magnificent. And if we go and play comfortably at home like that every game, you're going to win games, no bother. So we just need to allow the game to take its course. The one thing I do want us to get done, though, is find an early goal. As hard as it may be, and as tough as Robinson might make it, we really need to find an early goal. We can't allow the game to drag out in the manner it did against Hibs on Saturday. Because when the time goes down and the game becomes more desperate, we cannot rely on the substitutions. We don't have the bench for it at the minute. There's not players on that bench who can come on and change a game. You've got to get the job done with the players in the park, and that's going to be the story between now and January. Teams will be licking their lips at that. They'll be looking at the Celtic bench and going, well, listen, if we can get those players tired and we can force them into making changes, we can walk away with a point. That's scary though. So we need to get the job done early. We need to find our goals in the first half, put the game beyond doubt, and at Celtic Park, that really shouldn't be an issue. Starting 11 prediction then. Let's go through it, shall we? Here it is on screen. Unchanged? Yeah. Listen, I think this game, more than any, has the chance of changes. I think that Brendan Rodgers might make a couple of changes. He might bring on, a Tomoki Iwata or a David Turnbull to start the game. He might make a defensive change. As I said, you could see Ralston. Who knows? We might see Nawrocki return. There is possible changes that Brendan Rodgers can make. But I'm not going to try and predict them here because I don't know what they'll be. If he does make changes, I think that there'll be ones that take us by surprise. So I am going to go with that team for now because I feel like it's easy to predict. I feel like it's got to be the best team. And as I said, just get the job done early doors. So yeah, it might be boring, but I'm just going to stick with it for now. And as for score predictions, I'm going to go for 2-0 to Celtic. I hate doing score predictions because for the first time at the weekend, I put out a confident score prediction. I think I said 3-0. And bang, it finished nothing each. You know, so I hate doing them because most times I try and keep it conservative and I try and keep it a little bit, 1-0, 2-1, 2-0 maybe. Then I done that at the weekend and you saw what happened. So I hate doing them. But I'll go 2-0 to Celtic. We have, so much more quality than St Mirren and it's at Celtic Park. You need to be winning those games. It's the bread and butter. If you don't, that's when the problems start to creep up. And I just want us all to be happy again, all on the same page. And forget about the draw at the weekend. Right, that does it for my match preview then. Let me know what you think in the comments below, your score predictions, any outlandish team predictions, let me know. But we'll be back on the channel tomorrow, of course, for our post-match reaction. Yes, there will be one tomorrow. Don't worry. I've not disappeared. And for everybody piping up saying that I didn't do one because we drew, I told you I wasn't doing one. So I'm telling you I am doing one tomorrow, no matter the result. Okay? Right. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.